speaking on approaching the Negro spiritual in performance. The American Negro spiritual is a folk music that served as a means for its creators, African people stripped of their native lands and cultures, to survive and thrive despite the indignities and deprivations of slavery. Their songs expressed abiding faith, deep sorrow in loss, and great joy in the hope for freedom. Decades after slavery officially ended in the United States, composers began using these spirituals as source materials for songs intended for concert performance. Composers such as H.T. Burleigh, Paul Johnson, R. Nathaniel Dett, and Florence Price sought to retain as much of the feel of the original folk songs in their settings as possible. The vocal line of these art songs usually stated the melody simply, and the piano part provided a straightforward harmonic support for the melody. Later composers such as Margaret Bonds, Hal Smith, and John Carter began using more complex melodic lines and harmonic structures in their settings, as well as integrating blues, jazz, and even gospel elements in their music. These art songs tend to be more technically challenging to both the vocalist and the accompanist. However, they still demand that the musicians tap into the deep wellspring of emotions that inspired those slaves of ages past. When a singer wishes to program one or more spirituals, she will find a vast array of options from which to select. In many respects, she has to address the same questions she would ask for most other music. Does the tempo and style suit the moment and the audience? Is the text appropriate? Does the range lie comfortably in her voice? Can the accompanist play the music well? Admittedly, there are other considerations specific to the spiritual, including whether to improvise parts of the melody and or to sing the text using dialect. Decisions regarding dialect alone would require an extended discussion and will unfortunately have to wait for another occasion. Instead, we'll consider some of the more standard questions in our relationship to three settings of the song, Let Us Break Bread Together on Our Knees. This communion spiritual now appears in numerous church hymnals and yet is well suited to concert performance. The first setting by composer and accompanist William Lawrence was published in 1945 and has been performed by many famous singers, including Roland Hayes, Marian Anderson, and Paul Robeson. The score is available for both high and low voices and is performed in a moderate tempo. The accompaniment gives the singer her opening pitch and often includes notes from the melody in the piano part. Some singing of blues notes, where the vocalist intentionally lowers the pitch, can be added for expressive effect. Otherwise, the beauty of the setting is in its very simplicity. The next version of the spiritual is the third song of the cycle written by composer and pianist John Carter. Published in 1964 and written for soprano Leontine Price, the piece represents enormous technical challenges to both the singer and the accompanist. The vocalist can find herself performing much of the song at the upper end of her vocal range, singing long phrases above a piano part that provides virtually no reinforcement of the vocal line. The dense harmony in the piano line leaves very little opportunity for vocal improvisation, but there are a few places where the singer can improvise rhythmically. Like the rest of the song cycle, the accompanist needs to have an excellent technical skill to sing and play this piece. The last is a setting by Moses Hogan. While best known as a choral director and composer, he wrote this setting for solo voice as part of a 10-song collection of spirituals published in 2000. Hogan's settings insert elements of gospel music into both parts. The song can be performed with a high level of improvisation, dependent upon the singer's ability to improvise and the accompanist's ability to anticipate what the singer might do. This setting calls for the vocalist to close on a pianissimo high A flat. which presents a dramatic ending to a dynamically powerful third verse. Please listen as Dr. William Tinker and I perform all three settings of this beautiful spiritual. Each comes from different time periods in the 20th century and takes very different compositional approaches. However, each in its own way retains the power and beauty of the original folk song and sets a distinctive mood for a church or concert program. We'll begin with the William Lawrence setting. Let us break bread together on our knees. Let us break bread together on our knees. When I fall on my knees, with my face to the rising sun, oh Lord, have mercy on me. Let us drink wine together on our knees. Let us drink wine together on our knees. When I fall on my knees, with my face to the rising sun, oh Lord, have mercy on me. Let us praise God together on our knees. Let us praise God together on our knees. When I fall on my knees, with my face to the rising sun, oh Lord, have mercy. If you please. Now for John Carter. One note I did want to add about this one is that it is a part of a song cycle, and I have found that I generally don't sing it by itself because it is such a sweeping piece of music. It really seems to work best when it's performed as an entire cycle. But still, it is complete on its own. It's a wonderful piece, so we're going to add it today. Let us break bread together on our knees. Let us break bread Moses Hogan. Were there any questions? Yes.
I think I know what you're going to answer to this, but what's your favorite?
Of the three.
To sing.
To sing? I actually like all three for different reasons, but I guess for what it lets me do as far as really cutting loose and sort of letting go vocally, the Moses Hogan. But as I said, I love all three, and especially the middle one. If you heard the entire song cycle, it is just such a stunning piece of music, and it's one that I have had a few rare privileges to perform with different accompaniments because it is such a difficult piece to perform. And so I guess, as I said, for the context here, because it's not as a whole, then that's probably why I wouldn't have picked that one. The other is just, it is such a beautifully simple piece. It is so much it gives you so much of an opportunity on the other hand to sort of sing from your heart. It's not technically difficult, but it is musically and emotionally, I think, so powerful that, you know, it also has its strengths. So I don't know that I exactly answered your question, but
I was just curious.
yeah. Yes.
You have, like, that was incredible, and your control is just stunning. Where did you get trained? I'm blown away. I could have listened all day. It's amazing, wonderful.
Thank you.
How did you learn that kind of control?
I've been studying for a long time, but currently, actually, my teacher here at the university is Stephen Swanson.
Okay.
And I think he's been the one who's introduced a lot of the control without feeling like I'm overpowering the room, doing things vocally that are extra that I don't really need to do. And so that's the thing I'm learning from him now. And I think that's also allowing me a lot more control and more power, I think, too, because I'm channeling it better. But yeah, I certainly, that has been one wonderful opportunity for me to work with him. Yes,
Is there
sir.
a special story behind the origin of that song that you can share with us? And are you going to be performing someplace else again?
Yeah.
Well, I just did a recital here back on the 27th, all spirituals, because that is my area of specialization. Is I'm doing research on concert performance of Negro spiritual, and trying to make the music more accessible, because I think people, and to be honest with you, I think non-blacks feel uncomfortable sometimes singing this music. And it's with I think the misconception that, you know, because I'm not black, I can't sing it. And what I'm trying to do is to make the music accessible enough, to make it understood enough, that people look at it from its own, you know, its strengths and weaknesses. Can I sing this music? And for technical reasons, or, you know, do I have the emotional maturity to sing it? But as far as your question with that song, it is one of the few communion spirituals that we know of. Unfortunately, we don't know about all of the spirituals that were created because most of them weren't written down. They were passed from person to person. Most of what we have are really songs that were transcribed, or just simply they survived over the years. But for that particular one, I don't know a lot about it, but I do know that you know, it's just basically, you know, one that came down from our ancestors, to be honest with you. I really wish I did know more about it. But you know what? Now that you asked me that question, I'll be darned if I'm not going to try to say I can't find out a lot more about it. Yes, ma'am. I want to not take up too much more of anybody else's time, but you know, I do appreciate the questions, and I'll be glad to answer any more. But let me just take this last one.
This is just kind of a follow-up about where else can we hear you, and so do you have recordings or CDs? Or?
That CD is now 8 years old. I'm trying to hide it. But I'm actually planning to try to record,
Okay.
especially spirituals for something upcoming. I feel the need now to try to do some new material that reflects what I'm doing vocally now, and to reflect, because I've learned so much music over even the last couple of years or so, and I'm hoping to learn a lot more. So I will certainly make sure that I try to advertise the next time I'm performing in the area as much as I can.
Randy?
Yes.
Do you post your events on your website? Because that might be a...
www.randyejones.com is the easiest one. The other, they all link. There's somebody standing outside the door. I'm not sure whether they're standing out there because they're waiting to come in or whatever. But I'm going to stop here.
I was waiting until you were finished.
I think we're just asking questions right now. So yeah, I'm going to stop now. But I thank you so very much, and I'm looking forward to the other presentations.